Borrowing more money is not the way to get out of debt. Restructuring to pay debt at a reduced interest rate, either by agreement or by bankruptcy, is the only way to reduce debt and eventually get rid of it. Borrowing more will only create more problems. Refinancing may simply create a lower payment, but it usually increases the debt. The longer it takes to get debt paid, the more it usually costs to pay it. Everyone seems to know how to get in debt. Consumer finance is a required course in most high schools, but not one textbook tells you about the U.S. Bankruptcy Code. So we'll discuss good debt, bad debt, how to get out of debt, and include what bankruptcy can and cannot do for you. Do not be afraid of the word bankruptcy. Fear of getting out of debt forces many people to do extreme things, and that's why I have developed this course. Debt can happen to anyone, and after this course you'll know how to deal with it. You're probably afraid you're going to lose something if you file a petition for bankruptcy, so you may be tempted, or probably already have tried, some way to deal with your debt instead of paying it on time. No one with a competent attorney loses any property they intend to keep unless they plan to lose it in advance. Bankruptcy is a plan, not a free-for-all. Let's talk about how you got into debt. Let's understand how you got into debt so you don't feel ashamed and make stupid emotional decisions. We found that most people feel really bad and ashamed because they're in debt, and you really shouldn't. Don't beat yourself up. Reach out and press the restart button in your life and do something to get yourself out of debt and get a fresh start. You'll feel a lot better with a plan. There's a saying that goes, you don't know where you're going until you know where you've been. The same can be said about your finances. If you don't understand how you got into debt, you are destined to repeat the same mistake. And debt happens to everyone. I've filed bankruptcy petitions for doctors, for single moms, and for disabled seniors. Most people don't plan on becoming overwhelmed by their debt. Something happens and they're left with little income and a lot of bills. So it's important to recognize warning signs and be able to handle problems when they arise. After your Chapter 7 discharge or a Chapter 13 debt repayment plan or credit counseling plan is complete, it's up to you to change your lifestyle and prevent problems before they begin. Problems like job loss, divorce, medical bills, bad luck can force someone into bankruptcy. Doesn't matter whether you make $100,000 a year or $20,000. If you have debt you can't afford, you need to seek debt relief help. And it's important to realize how you got to this point. So here are some of the ways. Breakups, divorce, and financial problems. Collection calls and loss of income can put a strain on a relationship. Financial issues are a leading cause for divorce, and often a couple finds themselves with a big balance of debt. When you're a two-income household and have two income debts, loss of one of those incomes can cause missed payments and high interest rates. I've had many clients who are contemplating divorce because of their debt. We may be able to save your marriage if the only problem is money. We've had a client come in alone because the spouse refused to deal with debt. And when they go back home to that spouse with a plan or bring the reluctant spouse into the office, good things happen to eliminate debt as a source of trouble in a relationship. But if you and your spouse have already decided to divorce, consider debt relief before the divorce is final. It may be to your best interest to eliminate the debt issue from a divorce by filing a bankruptcy case so the money can be devoted to support or a fresh start. Once a divorce is final, you could lose household income, be responsible for all debt, and have to pay child support and alimony. You may also not be able to discharge the debt with bankruptcy. Another cause is job loss or reduction in income. A major cause of debt is reduction of income or job loss. If you rely on overtime or bonuses, you may be coming up short each month if overtime or hours are cut. Over 70% of Americans say they are living paycheck to paycheck. If you're one of these people and lost your job, your unemployed benefits may be less than your paycheck. Unemployment can run out, or you may not qualify, leaving you with an income of zero. Creditors don't care about your loss of income. They expect to be paid. If you're unable to make your payment, your creditors will increase the interest on your debt and decrease your credit line, and they can start calling you until a payment is made. If you don't make a payment, your creditors can sue you, or they may use a wage assignment or file a lawsuit and attempt to get a judgment against you, resulting in frozen assets, wage garnishments, or liens against personal property. If you have lost income or know that you're going to lose income, don't make the common mistake of drawing down your pension or 401k and giving it to creditors. That's the biggest mistake we see. Your creditors can't touch your pension. You should not use it to pay off credit cards or mortgage or car payments, and if you draw it down, you have to pay taxes and a 10% penalty. Don't touch your pension, 401k, or IRA for debt. Another common mistake is to wait too long before seeking the advice of an experienced bankruptcy attorney or a licensed credit counselor. You may think you know what you're doing, but a professional who has seen 1,000 cases like yours is a valuable friend when you are deep in debt and knows more than you do. Do not put your faith in a mortgage modification that you may not get on your own and use your mortgage money to pay credit cards. You may be better off filing a Chapter 7 or 13 immediately when you're overloaded, instead of searching the internet looking for topics posted by anonymous authors who may not have your best interests at heart, or worse yet, may lie to you to get your money. Illness, injury, or death in a family could also cause problems. It's difficult to work full-time if you're ill, so your income may be reduced. If you're hurt at work or in an accident, you may fall behind until you're back to work. You may need both an injury and a bankruptcy attorney, or a law firm that handles both injury and bankruptcy cases. If you have a chronic illness such as diabetes or high blood pressure, you may have used credit cards to buy medical supplies or supplement your income. If you can't repay that credit, you may need help in budgeting for future medical bills out of future income, not credit. Chapter 13 may be useful if you expect more medical bills in the future, since it can be converted from a repayment plan to a discharge plan if you get more bills or can't work in the future. Can you pay medical bills to doctors who are treating you even if you file bankruptcy? Yes, you can. So if you have questions that you think will keep you from getting out of debt, make sure you ask a licensed bankruptcy attorney right away, and the same thing goes before going into a credit counseling plan. Long-term illnesses can be complicated when it comes to debt relief. If you have a chronic condition, filing a bankruptcy won't eliminate any future debt. It'll only discharge medical bills up to the date of filing. Credit counseling services can help you organize your medical bills into a repayment plan, but the additional bills can cause your payment to increase. If you have a chronic illness, it may be better to wait until all medical bills come in. Bad luck or lack of insurance can cause debt. It's something that nobody plans. Anyone can find themselves with big debt balances and little income to pay off the balances. You may be tempted to let your car insurance lapse while you pay credit cards. If your car is damaged when you have no insurance, you may not be able to get it repaired or get a replacement car, so you may lose your job. You may even get arrested or have your license suspended. Bankruptcy may be able to solve those problems. Many people don't have life insurance, so if they pass away, their families are left in debt. One item you should budget for in the future is term life insurance. It's cheap, and it may help your loved ones a lot. Sometimes someone else may cause you to fall into debt. So whether your situation's your fault or not, do not be too embarrassed to do something about it. It's like going to the dentist. If you put it off, you'll be in more and more pain until it gets unbearable. Helping others is another big cause of debt. If you co-sign for someone, you may be forced to pay that debt when they didn't pay. Sometimes you want to pay a debt that you asked for a co-signer on, but need to get rid of or manage other debts so you can take care of the co-signed debt and protect the co-signer. This is a problem that can be solved by various kinds of bankruptcy and credit counseling. Can you get credit again after a bankruptcy? Yes. In fact, Chapter 13 and also Chapter 7 are very useful in obtaining a mortgage modification, and buying a car can be done while in a Chapter 13 repayment plan. Chapter 7 bankruptcy means you have little or no debt, and you will be able to qualify for VA and FHA mortgages after 2 years with a credit score of 580 if you otherwise qualify. So if you're overloaded with debt, don't worry about your credit score. It probably looks like you're rich right now. You know you're not. Creditors will want you to get into debt again after you get out of debt. So your focus now should be getting out of debt and learning how to save money and spend wisely. After you file Chapter 7 or 13, you must take a 2-hour debt management course to get a discharge. So you'll learn a lot about how to be smart about creditor and credit in the future. The bill collectors want you to refinance and finance, and after you get out of debt, you will be their target again, so be careful. You will be able to get into debt again. Chapter 13 or 7 may actually help with mortgage modifications. If you're seeking to reduce your payments or loan balance on a residential mortgage, filing Chapter 7 or 13 and some kinds of credit counseling may help. It's important to reduce your debt load so you can afford to keep your house. Neither a bankruptcy nor a licensed debt reduction program should affect any loan modification, especially under programs like the recent mortgage settlement with major lenders or under other programs like HAMP. In fact, in 1 week, my law firm received over 70 loan modification offers for our clients who had filed for Chapter 13 debt repayment. So, managing your debt in or out of bankruptcy can help with mortgage loan modification and sometimes refinancing. For instance, you cannot be denied a HAMP modification because of a bankruptcy filing. The mortgage servicer must work with you or your attorney to obtain any required court order or trustee approvals. The servicer has to extend the trial period as long as necessary to accommodate delays in obtaining court approvals or receiving your trial period payments when they are made to a trustee, but they're not required to extend the trial period beyond 2 months. So there's a maximum 5-month trial period. If it's extended, you should make a trial payment for each month of the trial period, including any extension. If you're in an open Chapter 13 and you're current with your HAMP trial period payments, your mortgage company cannot object to the confirmation of your plan. They can't move for relief from the automatic stay or for dismissal of your Chapter 13. And whether or not a mortgage was reaffirmed in a bankruptcy does not matter for most programs, including HAMP. On the contrary, you need not have your personal liability on a mortgage survive to be eligible for HAMP, and if you did receive a Chapter 7 discharge, you are eligible for HAMP, if otherwise eligible, if the debt wasn't reaffirmed. And they have to put language in the mortgage modification that says, I was discharged in a Chapter 7 proceeding subsequent to the execution of the loan documents, and based upon this, lender agrees I will not have personal liability on the debt pursuant to the modification agreement. So, if you find yourself overwhelmed, you can readjust your budget to wait for your luck to change. If you find yourself in debt again, there are warning signs for a person to seek debt relief, and some of these warning signs you may have now. If your monthly payments are over 25% of your take-home pay, you're only making minimum payments, you can't afford car insurance or necessities without borrowing more, or you don't have savings or life insurance, if you're tempted to cash in assets like a pension, IRA, or 401k to pay creditors, You have bill collectors calling. These are all danger signs. If you're struggling, it's time to do something about it. Your current plan is not working if every time the phone rings there's a creditor asking for payment. Getting into debt is the easy part. The difficult part is changing the way you think about money management to help you through difficult times. Divorce, job loss, medical bills, bad luck are a few of the causes, and there could be others. So it may be time to do something.